And now, strap yourselves in, kids, to launch into part 2 of episode 4 of The One Man Trucker.
Nice job, incidental narration man. To quote Captain Pike, punch it!
Alright, finally. So here we are back in my soundproofed studio, and here we are about to engage into our episode today. Going through TNG Season 1. I don't know how many times I've exactly said that on this show. See if you want to count. Anyway, alright, so before we get into today's episode that we're going to engage, I want to mention a couple things that I forgot to mention when we did Where No One Has Gone Before last time. Oh boy, what a hoot that was. So, speaking of Flash Gordon, when the Enterprise is launching off and it's warping and all that, it's a very, and some of you maybe know what I mean by the Flash Gordon warp effect, and that is the Enterprise, sort of stretches a little bit as it's warping, it's as it's accelerating, and it's going, it looks like it's stretching. It's a very cool effect, and then it reduces back to its normal size and then launches off, and I call that the Flash Gordon warp effect. In fact, I used to own a Flash Gordon DVD where, how there's those releases out there where companies, get a hold of stuff and they don't exactly market them the best as far as packaging is concerned and layouts and that sort of thing. I mean, the DVD menu was like a family sitting around a couch, just a very kind of cornball, photoshopped to death photo of, this family sitting around the couch and then looking at a TV, and the dad's got the bowl of popcorn on his tummy, and he's got his arm around the wife, and he's smiling, showing his dental job to his kids. But needless to say, they're looking off at the TV, and there's the clips from Flash Gordon playing. But actually, those Flash Gordon discs I have, are just one of them, actually. Just one Flash Gordon disc. It's got 4 episodes on it. It's from the 1950s television show, so it's not the serial. It's the TV show that came out in the 50s. And it's a fun little thing, very, very old, but there was one episode I thought was pretty good. So yeah, Flash Gordon, the Flash Gordon warp effect. Forgot to just tell you about that last time. And wow, what a great effect it is. I understand that it takes several days for them to shoot that, and they didn't do it very often with the Enterprise because it took such a long time for them to film it. And you see it during the theme too. Every time the theme closes out, we've got the but before that, the created by Gene Roddenberry, the classic closing of the TNG theme. So just wanted to bring that up. Oh, one thing that I don't have on my notes here as I wrinkle the paper, letting you know that I have them, and never mind. But anyway, I forgot to mention, okay, in hindsight, I would have edited this out when I was talking about things last time, and that's when I was sort of comparing all the characters of the TNG crew to characters from the X-Men. And, like, Picard is Charles Xavier, you get it? And, Geordi's Cyclops with the visor, and Worf is Wolverine or whatever. And, I was actually, it's more of a joke than anything else. I was trying to say something that I don't think came across in the best of ways there, and I would have edited out. In fact, when I was editing, I debated editing my saying that out because I didn't think I presented it very well and how I was trying to communicate that, and that's what I'm addressing here now. So I don't know. It's more of a joke than anything else, but it is sort of the superhero cast. But I don't know if I brought up that observation at an appropriate time. It took away from the pacing of it. I will admit that I was pretty rambling, man, on our last episode, Engaged. Oh man, I just was going off the clock. But anyway, let's see what else I wanted to talk about. Oh, I made a couple of editing mistakes in the last episode, Engaged, as well. yeah, you're working with that much audio. You get lost in the labyrinth sometimes, kids. So there's one part where I'm talking about Wesley Crusher entering sickbay or whatever. Needless to say, if you noticed a little small pause on the audio where it wasn't, there was no audio, that was one of the mistakes. And another mistake, I suppose, that followed that was there was a clip that played for 2 minutes that I thought I had cut down, that I thought I had edited, but it was an unedited portion of the podcast that I didn't realize. So I have some theories about why that happened, but you could care less. So anyway, let's get into our exploration of the episode that we're gonna explore today, that we're going to engage, that we're going to do the Flash Gordon warp effect into, and that is the episode Hide and Q.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Can any of you stay alive?
The crew's challenged once again by the dreaded Q.
We have offered you a gift beyond all other gifts.
Tempting Commander Riker with extraordinary power.
Are you strong enough to refuse to use that power?
In a game that becomes a deadly confrontation. On Star Trek The Next Generation.
Now let me give you some backstory on what I've thought about this episode in previous years. I've never thought of this episode as a particularly great episode, and actually in previous years I'd always avoided it. True story. You look at Where No One Has Gone Before, and I'd never really thought of that episode as being anything special, as just, yeah, it's a good episode, but it goes by so fast. And when I really got to know it, well, what kicked off my really appreciating that episode, of course, is, I rambled about this plenty last time, but seeing it in the theater, of course, that was very special. So it's more of a unique episode that way, sticks with you more, and of course, even what gave me an even greater appreciation for Where No One Has Gone Before a couple weeks ago was how much I was watching it, because I was watching it multiple times, had the closed captions on for 4 or 5 hours. I was just going through the darn thing, and fast-forwarding and rewinding, and I wrote out all these notes in hand, and it was great. And, by the way, because I can plug myself in my own podcast, did you know that I have a blog? Yes, folks, Kert Kaczynski has a blog. It's up at onemantrekker.wordpress.com. That's the website. You got to go there. It's pretty spiffy. It's pretty spiffy there, guys. Anyway, I have a blog up there, and I posted some pictures of the notes. Scanned them in real nicely. High resolution. But in the same way that I really got to know Where No One Has Gone Before and appreciated it, and it's one of my favorite episodes now, and that wouldn't have happened if not for this show, and if not for that being showed at the theater. And almost the same thing with Hide and Q. Get this, folks. I've watched this episode 4 times this year. I have just lived in this episode for 3 weeks now, nearly a month, and it's been great. But you know something? I never really thought of Hide and Q as being all that great of an episode. I always sort of avoided it, actually, because it had I don't know. I remember it being boring. Like, oh, there's Q talking with Riker on the planet, and they're there forever. And what's up with the goofy-looking monsters? And I don't know. Of course, looking back on how I felt, and this was me probably 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. I don't know. And looking back on that, I'm sort of shaking my head going, dang it, man. This episode is a great episode. It really, really is. It really is a profound episode. But when you're not doing a podcast and you're not watching the thing for hours and living in it, and let me share with you how many notes I really do have on this thing. Gotta tell you, I've been looking forward to exploring this with you. Okay, well, let me first show you how many notes I had for Where No One Has Gone Before, which from a couple weeks ago. Now, let's see. I had 3 pages. 3 pages and 22 notes. So 3 pages and 22 notes of Where No One Has Gone Before. Oh, by the way, in that episode, I forgot to mention who wrote who wrote the script for that? That beautiful script for Where No One Has Gone Before. Let me sort through this now.